When this soldier likely joined the forces at some point during the First World War, it's easy to forget that before that war, Canada's military comprised of less than 4,000 people.
We had, for all practical purposes, nothing in the way of military forces. We had the old permanent force that was tiny, ill-trained, ill-equipped. We had a couple of ships in the Navy. Of course, there was no Air Force. The militia existed across the country, but it was less well-trained than the permanent force, which was untrained. We began from scratch, and we created, the astonishing thing is, we created in 3.5 years in action in France, what is usually thought to be the single best Allied formation, the Canadian Corps. It was an astonishingly effective formation of 4 divisions. It learned its trade in battle, and it became very good at it.
When this soldier left for war, or at least at the beginning of that war, we then were not a military presence on the world stage, nor really a diplomatic one, but by the end of the war, we'd made our name as a military presence, and we became a diplomatic one. We were there at the table with a separate seat for the end of the war. We were a member of the League of Nations, the forerunner of the UN. All things where we became a nation, as they say, through the battles of that war, and quite possibly the battle that this soldier died in at Vimy Ridge. One of the officers, Alexander Ross, wrote about how he was actually at Vimy, was in the battle. Wrote about how I guess perhaps he was the first to use that phrase, that we witnessed the birth of a nation, seeing the different members of the Canadian Army from different parts of the country lined up and went into.
Peter, the extraordinary thing is that many soldiers actually at Vimy had exactly that sense. They had taken part in something extraordinary, and they knew they had. And we have, at the War Museum archives, we have letters and diaries where soldiers are writing home and say, you know, Canada did something extraordinary today. And that came up in the headlines in the Canadian newspapers announcing the results of the Battle of Vimy. There really was a sense that they had taken part in something extraordinary.
Probably noticed that there's a bit of an incline here in Elgin as it heads up towards the War Memorial area. In the final few blocks of this procession.
And you can see the RCMP behind the casket, having to push it up the hill almost.
silence has fallen over now the considerable crowd that is here in the National War Memorial area, as evidence of the procession has reached them now. They can see it heading up the final few blocks of Elgin. One of those awkward moments. Nobody's quite sure what to do. I mean, it's a solemn occasion, but it's a proud occasion, and some choosing to show their feelings through applause, while others simply with their head bowed as the procession makes its way by, and in the case of the gun carriage, just the final few meters before it arrives at its stopping point. The veterans and the senior military officers who represent the honorary pallbearers taking up their positions, while the actual pallbearers now prepare once again to carry the unknown soldier, this time to his final resting place. These are the same pallbearers who were in France, who received the remains just 4 days ago.
Fire!
The final steps now to the spot where the tomb of the unknown soldier now lies waiting. The chaplain general will be conducting the service here. And as you would expect, throughout the length of the service, we'll be providing no commentary. It will be remarkable. A journey that began so many years ago by sea to the battlefields of France, now reaching its final moments. The National War Memorial in Ottawa, the tomb of the unknown soldier.
Everybody, turn. Works. Turn. All bears. Left. Turn. All bears. To the front. Some. March. Still. Third party, turn lower. Lower. 1, 2, 3. Third party, abs and jump. Third party, outwards. Down! Sur vos jambes, renversez! Repos!
With the remains now in place at the tomb, the sarcophagus, the remaining veterans now arriving to the applause of the crowd here outside the National War Memorial. As you can see, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of veterans who now will take their place at the War Memorial site. It's been a long time, Jack, since I've seen a crowd like this around this War Memorial. They've been increasing in the past few years, but this is quite something today.
Oh, I think it's a very large crowd indeed. The Remembrance Day ceremonies in the last few years, I think, have been getting bigger, but this one is a special one. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event. And the ovation.
It's going to take a while for the veterans to reach their spots, but this is a moment, you know, Jack, we were lucky enough to be in France in '94 for the 50th anniversary of the D-Day invasion, '95 for the 50th anniversary of the victory in Europe. Celebrations that took place that we were witnessed in Holland and in London. And we kept saying and witnessing these remarkable moments of foreigners, French in the case of France, the Dutch in the Netherlands, who just wanted to clap and touch Canadian veterans who liberated their country, and certainly in the case of Holland and part of the liberation of France. And here today we're getting the opportunity to see Canadians thanking Canadians, which we have worried about over the past few years, that it just doesn't happen enough.
It doesn't happen enough, and that makes this very special indeed. These veterans are now getting on in years, as you can tell, and for many of them, this might be their last parade, and to see people cheering is a very good thing indeed.
Just a couple of weeks ago, the 55th anniversary in Holland of the liberation, still in the little community that we visited in '95, Apeldoorn, Holland. A couple of 100,000 out to welcome the Canadians back to their city.
The Dutch remember, Peter, because they had to be liberated, and they remember the people that liberated them, and they remember what they lived through when the Nazis were in control. We happily, because we fought our wars abroad, have never had to deal with occupation and the tragedy that results from that. Maybe that explains a good deal of it, but it's good to see people cheering.
Let's watch and listen to the service.
Have greater love than to lay down his life.
In the presence of Almighty God, this sacred meeting gathers here at our national memorial to lay to rest our unsung hero, Canada's unknown soldier.
We do not know him, and we solemnly vow never to know him by name, but he knows us. He suffered for us. He sacrificed his life for us. He is our father. He is our son. He is our spouse, our brother. He is our neighbor. He is always with us, and we will remember him forever. Lord, you know him. You know him by name, and you keep him close to yourself forever. En rendant hommage à nos camarades disparus, nous reconnaissons le sacrifice ultime de tous ceux et celles qui ont répondu en temps de guerre à l'appel de notre pays. C'est un sacrifice ultime que certains ont dû faire pour le bien de notre pays et pour que notre monde connaisse la paix. I wish to call upon our Governor General and Commander-in-Chief of the Canadian Forces, Her Excellency, the Right Honorable Adrian Clarkson, to deliver the eulogy. J'invite notre gouverneur général et commandant des forces canadiennes, Son Excellence, la très honorable Adrian Clarkson, pour prononcer l'éloge funéraire.